So hi everyone, my name is Liz Eggleston and I run Course Report, which is a resource for researching which coding bootcamp is right for you. So we have a directory of every coding bootcamp around the world. We have over 4,000 alumni reviews and a blog with interviews with founders and instructors and students, everything you need to make a really informed choice. And every once in a while, we get to do these really fun video interviews and actually connect with real alumni from schools and get to hear about their final project at their boot camp. So today I am speaking with two graduates from Thinkful's full-time boot camp, Robbie and Sierra. So hi Robbie, hi Sierra. So you may know Thinkful for their flexible online courses. It's what they've traditionally done, but they also have this really cool, fully remote online coding boot camp, and students get to take part from all over the country. So Sierra and Robbie created their final project together, and they're gonna tell us all about it. It's called BookIt. It's really cool. It's actually really helpful and useful for future boot campers and other people at Coding Bootcamp. So Sierra and Robbie, welcome. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah.
And congratulations on graduating from Thinkful. Y'all graduated about a month ago, right?
Right.
Yep.
Sweet. Okay, cool. Will you give us a rundown of what BookIt is? And I think, Robbie, you're going to share your screen, right? And show us the actual application. But feel free to also explain as you go. We'll still be able to, hear you. But if you click that little green button at the top of your screen, then you'll be able to screen share.
Yeah.
Cool. So do you want to explain just really quickly what BookIt does and how users sort of interact with it?
Yeah, so BookIt was birthed out of our need we saw of being able to have these online resources and being able to share those between us as bootcamp students.
Okay.
We traditionally did it through Slack, but Slack has a limit to how many how many messages it stores until they start deleting messages for free Slack groups and stuff like that. And so this one. So during our experience, a lot of resources that we had were either just poorly organized or they were just eaten up by Slack. And so we decided we wanted to build this. And so here's BookIt. It's built so that you can kind of put all your bookmarks in here and be able to organize and search through them really easily, as well as share them between people. So that you don't have to worry about that as much and be able to access a lot of those online resources. And so some of the features are listed out here. You can share folders, upload screenshots, real-time search and all that. And so that's our splash page. And when we go into here, we wanted to have login with GitHub because we realized as bootcamp students, we're always going to be using GitHub.
Yep, cool.
But let's sign in here with our demo account.
Was doing OAuth through GitHub a tough challenge for y'all, or did you figure it out?
Good. Sure.
So we actually we considered doing auth authentication, but we eventually went with a third party called Auth0. Now, this is a kind of framework that allows you to integrate it into your own apps, and it provides that kind of login menu, and it's a really easy way of setting up third-party authentication with GitHub, Facebook, Twitter, and it uses JWT tokens, which are JavaScript web tokens, to communicate between the front end and the back end.
Cool. I love that Course Report is a resource in BookIt. That's awesome. Wait, so you had about 3 weeks to plan this. How did you go about planning the project out? And does Thinkful emphasize any type of specific project management? Are you learning agile development or something specific like that? And did you sort of adhere to that throughout the project?
I think because of our time restrictions, the whole agile development style wasn't what we stuck to in terms of test-driven development. thankfully for BookIt specifically, like Sarah mentioned, we worked on it. We had like a version 1 already done by in like week 8 or 9 of our course, and because of that, we were able to kind of think through functionality. And between the end of that version 1 to the point where we started our capstone was we had gone back and forth of what we would want to have this app do. So that's kind of how we did it. We tried using Trello for project management. We didn't actually stick to that very strictly, but we just had kind of open communication through Slack, and we could ring each other up anytime with Screen Hero or with our video sharing and kind of touch base.
That having been said, we did spend a lot of time planning, kind of writing up a really thorough README file for our GitHub page with all of like things that we wanted to see in the project, and kind of deadlines, and also kind of user stories that we wanted to fulfill. So we spent a lot of time ahead of, before we even wrote a single line of code, planning things out.
So when you click on one of those resources, does it go to that website?
So it'll take you to a more detailed.
Cool.
And so in here, it'll have the tags, the folders, a description of it, as well as a link. And so you'd have to hit the link in order to go to the actual resource. We wanted to have it like a detailed view, so that like if we were to say this was a say we were at React, right? And we had learned a bunch of stuff about React, we can add more to it, saying like, I don't know, splits UI into components for better popularity. Hit submit, and then have kind of like a you could add to the description and take away from it as you need.
And then are you sharing that with, is it like collaborative in any way, or is it like your personal sort of storage?
So we have it where you can actually share it.
Wow, okay, cool.
Yeah, and so if we go to our manage folders, we have a coding. This folder is shared. And so anything I add to this coding folder will be shared across multiple
That's so cool.
people.
It seems like you actually got a good amount of functionality into BookIt before the bootcamp was over. Can you tell us a little bit about like the technologies that went into building it, and what you sort of had to learn as you went? Was there something that you learned through the project that was not part of the Thinkful curriculum and you just sort of had to learn on your own?
Many things.
A lot of things.
Sarah, you want to talk about the back end, maybe?
Okay, so I was in charge of the entire back end, including designing and implementing the database, which we used Postgres for, and the Node.js server. Now the Node.js server basically because we're using Heroku, it has to serve the static pages, and it acts as the main API for accessing the information. I would think one of the biggest lessons that I learned while designing the backend was trade-offs. Trade-offs between what I thought was a clean relational database design and what the front end needed. I also spent a lot of time trying to optimize queries for Postgres, and that kind of helped me dig deeper into Postgres as a database management system. I mean, I have queries that are really, really long, but they do what I need to do in one query instead of having to make multiple calls to the database.
Amazing. Okay, so Postgres for the database on the back end. On the front end, what did y'all use? What like technologies and libraries did you use to build the front end out?
Yeah, so with the front end, we worked with React and Redux as our main front-end framework.
Cool.
We worked with, we used the less precompiler for CSS, using Webpack to kind of bring it all together to one file. And so those are the main front-end technologies that we used.
How much help were you getting from your Thinkful instructor and mentors throughout the project? Did you feel like you were able to, did you do like a stand-up with them every day? Were they a part of the project at all? What did you like go to them for help for?
So we had a stand-up every day
Cool.
with our advisor person. So our instructor kind of was more so an advisor than a TA at this point. They were kind of there to aid, kind of help us think through certain problems. And I think that changed a little bit as we started the bootcamp to the point where we got to the capstone, where before they were more like teacher aides and instructors and stuff like that. While in this case, they were more like, I guess like advisors and like guidance in the direction we wanted to take. Yeah. That's
cool. Did you have like one teacher throughout the course?
No, we had the experience of being able to talk to multiple developers that are currently working in the field, so they could share like current up-to-date information on what they were working with and advice. We did have one mentor for the first half of the program, so you got to know them and they got to know you and the areas that you were struggling with. After that, we had something called the Flex Week, which was a really interesting experience. It allowed you to go off and learn a framework or a library of your own choice and kind of build a project and present it at the end of the week, which was a really interesting experience. We got a specialized mentor for that, depending on what we chose to learn. And after that, as Robbie said, the people that had been our instructors throughout the course kind of took a more advisory role in helping us. So other than the mentor for the 3-week capstone, we didn't have an official mentor after the second half of the course.
Okay.
Yeah. So during the course, we had 2 like main instructors that would teach the like workshops every morning, and they kind of alternated, and then 2 TAs that would be like on call while we're pair programming, that we can call on anytime we needed help or we got stuck on something, and they alternated. So any given day we had 1 instructor and 1 TA.
Cool. That's amazing. So Sierra, I love that you had mentioned earlier about like really getting involved in web development in order to make technology more accessible. Did that motivation sort of carry into designing BookIt and doing this project, or did you learn anything like specific about that goal while you were building BookIt?
Definitely my main motivation for the project was to help people access this information easier. I mean, during the project, I kept struggling with bookmarks in Chrome. I think I had over 1,000 at one point, just things that I wanted to look at or come back to later for reference. And Chrome's bookmark manager is just really bad at letting you search and recognize things.
Yeah.
When I went back and tried to organize them, I was like, I don't remember that link, especially with the title that Chrome usually gives it.
Yeah.
So BookIt was to help, increase organization and help people access that information later on. Because what else? I mean, why else make a bookmark if you can't find it later?
Totally.
As for web accessibility, in general, we did make some. We definitely tried to follow best practices by using forms and elements like that. Like I said before, though, I was mainly focused on the back end during this project's development.
Yeah, that's just something I'm so curious about, and I think that it's something that boot camps really can like teach well, like have an opportunity to teach and like make people aware of. So I think that's really awesome. What are the future plans for BookIt? Are you going to keep working on it? This is live, so like, are anyone watching this could go use BookIt, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, awesome. Well, we'll include a link in the description once we publish this, so that everyone can go check it out, especially all of our boot campers who are watching. I think we can switch back to video now if you want, or if there's anything that we didn't cover about BookIt, do you want to point anything else out?
I would say the big feature that we wanted to do was have folders that are shareable, because we thought we could have like cohort 2 folder or something like that and have that shared. And so anything I add to that could be added to something else. So if I go in here, share it with another account.
Do things get tricky with like permissions and not giving people access to your entire
We did have several days worth of kind of brainstorming to set down the rules of permissions and who was able to delete what and when and how. So it was a mind tweezer. It was a mind teaser, but it was an interesting challenge.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
Cool.
So
okay, so
we have this bookmark, and if we log into our second demo account, yeah, so this cohort 2 folder is available, and also the bookmark is available as well.
Awesome. That's so cool. Yeah, I think that's like an extra layer of functionality that doesn't really need to go into a bootcamp final project, but it's like extremely impressive that it is. Well, y'all, thank you so much for chatting with me today and showing us BookIt. It's fantastic. It's so cool that you actually chose to create something that kind of gives back to the bootcamp community, and it also looks really neat. And I love that Course Report is a resource on it, so that's fantastic. Anyways, yeah, thank you so much for joining us, and good luck in the job hunt. Keep us updated, and we'll update this blog post when we put this on our blog with where y'all landed jobs, because we definitely want to know.